It was a crisp autumn morning in Boston, the kind where the leaves painted the streets with shades of amber and gold, and the air smelled of roasted coffee and opportunity. Galynn Patricia Brady, mother of NFL legend Tom Brady, had always loved these kinds of mornings. Despite being recognized here and there as Tom's mom, she was someone who preferred to live quietly, with humility and grace. She pulled her cardigan tighter around her shoulders as she stepped into Regal Threads, one of Boston's most luxurious boutiques. Her goal was simple: find the perfect birthday gift for her grandson, Jack. She smiled politely as she entered, but the store's manager, Ethan Miller, barely lifted his head. From behind the marble counter, Ethan gave her a quick, dismissive glance. His perfectly styled hair, designer suit, and smug expression broadcasted exactly the kind of person he was. To him, Galynn didn't look like the usual clientele: wealthy, younger, flashy. She was just an older woman, wearing simple clothes, walking a little slower, and clearly in his mind someone who didn't belong. "Excuse me," Galynn began kindly. "I'm looking for—" Before she could finish, Ethan cut her off, not even looking up from his tablet. "Ma'am, everything here is, well, premium. You might want to check the clearance store down the street." Her eyes widened slightly, not out of anger, but disbelief. I think I'm in the right place," she replied softly. "I'm looking for something special for my grandson." Ethan sighed dramatically, tapping his fingers. "Look, it's not really a place for browsing. If you're not buying, you're holding up space." A younger employee nearby, Rachel Sanchez, overheard. Her eyes flicked between Galynn and Ethan. Her hands tightened around the scarf she was folding. Rachel had only been working there for 6 months, but knew this wasn't right. "Can I help you, ma'am?" Rachel stepped forward, her voice hesitant but kind. Before Galynn could answer, Ethan raised his voice. "Rachel, please focus on the display. I've got this." Galynn paused. For a brief moment she considered speaking up, but decades of being polite, of not wanting to cause a scene, won. "It's fine," she said quietly. "Thank you anyway." She turned and walked out, her heart heavier than she expected. Not because of the rudeness itself, she'd seen plenty of that in her life, but because she knew that if she were someone younger, dressed flashier, or carrying a designer handbag, the outcome would have been different. She stepped onto the street, taking a deep breath of the cool air, letting it wash the sting away. Little did Ethan know, the woman he just dismissed was not just anyone. She was the mother of Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, a man whose name commanded respect both on and off the field. And little did he know this was only the beginning. What Tom Brady does next leaves everyone stunned. Trust me, you do not want to miss what happens. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. It really helps the channel and lets us bring more incredible true stories straight to you. Meanwhile, back at home, Galynn picked up the phone. Not because she wanted to complain, but just to chat. Tom always made time for his mom, no matter how busy he was. "Hey, Mom," Tom answered, his familiar warm tone filling her ear. "How's Boston treating you today?" Galynn hesitated. "Oh, you know. Had a little hiccup at a store. Nothing major." But as she told him what happened, something in Tom's voice shifted. That calm, easygoing tone hardened. Just a little. "Wait. What did he say to you?" Tom asked, his jaw tightening. Galynn chuckled softly, trying to brush it off. "It's fine, Tommy. It's not worth—" But Tom interrupted, his voice lower, firmer. "No, Mom. It is worth it." Tom hung up the phone, but the conversation echoed in his mind like a stadium filled with boos. His mother, the woman who had sat through rain, snow, and heartbreak to support him, had just been disrespected. And not in some random online comment or faceless interaction. No, face to face, in his hometown, by someone who had no idea who he was dealing with. Tom paced around his kitchen, his jaw clenched, hands balling into fists unconsciously. This wasn't just about his mom. This was about respect, about decency, about how people treated others when they thought no one important was watching. At the kitchen table, his son Jack, now a teenager but with the wise eyes of someone twice his age, noticed his father's mood shift. You okay, Dad? Jack asked, looking up from his tablet. Tom exhaled slowly, leaning against the counter. You ever hear me talk about standing up for what's right? Jack nodded. All the time. Well, Tom sighed. Someone disrespected Grandma today. Big time. Jack sat forward. Seriously? Grandma? Who would do that? Tom explained the story briefly. The dismissal, the arrogance, the sheer audacity of it. Jack's face tightened, his hands gripping the edge of the table. Dad, you always say when someone crosses the line, you don't let it slide. You always say, if you don't stand up for your family, who will? Tom smiled slightly, his heart swelling with pride. Yeah, I did say that. So, what are you going to do? Jack asked, eyes wide. Tom paused. For a moment, he considered doing what most celebrities would, making a quiet phone call to the store's corporate office. Handling it behind the scenes, or letting it slide altogether because, after all, his family was used to ignoring negativity. But something didn't sit right. He thought about his mom, about how many other elderly women, or anyone for that matter, walked into that store and got treated the same way without the advantage of being Tom Brady's mother. No, Tom said quietly but firmly. We're not doing this the quiet way. Jack blinked. Wait, you mean you're going down there? Tom nodded, already grabbing his jacket. Yep. Dad, Jack grinned. This is going to be awesome. Tom glanced back with that trademark half smirk he usually saved for fourth quarter comebacks. It's not about awesome, buddy. It's about doing what's right. As he pulled out of the driveway, his mind wasn't on football. It wasn't on the upcoming season, his next opponent, or his legacy on the field. His mind was locked on something much bigger. This was personal. Meanwhile, back at Regal Threads, Ethan leaned on the counter, scrolling through his phone, oblivious to the ripple effect his rudeness had triggered. Rachel, quietly folding sweaters nearby, kept replaying the scene in her head. Something told her that the story wasn't over, not by a long shot. Then the bell above the door chimed. At first, no one looked, but the sudden whispers and the subtle shift in the store's atmosphere were impossible to ignore. A couple of customers gasped. Is that? Someone whispered. Ethan glanced up, ready to deliver another dismissive remark, until his eyes locked onto the unmistakable figure now standing in the middle of his store. Tom Brady, wearing jeans, a dark jacket, and that unmistakable aura of someone who could silence an entire stadium without saying a word. The color drained from Ethan's face. Tom's eyes scanned the room, landing directly on him. Without raising his voice, without even breaking stride, Tom started walking forward. The entire store held its breath. Tom stepped forward, his presence cutting through the tension like a knife. Conversations halted. Even the soft background music felt like it faded away. All eyes were locked on him. Ethan straightened his tie nervously, attempting to regain composure. Mr. Brady. Welcome to Regal Threads. How can I help you today? Tom didn't smile. He didn't nod. He stopped just a few feet away, arms crossed. His voice was calm but carried the weight of thunder. I'm here because yesterday, someone disrespected my mother. Murmurs rippled through the small crowd. Customers instinctively pulled out their phones, cameras quietly rolling. They knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. Ethan chuckled awkwardly, trying to downplay it. Oh, well, Sir, I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding. Tom took a step closer. Misunderstanding? You told an older woman, my mother, that she didn't belong here, that she should go find a clearance rack somewhere else. Ethan swallowed hard, tugging at his collar. Sir, I didn't realize, if I had known she was... Tom's jaw tensed. That's the problem, isn't it? You didn't know. You thought she was just someone you could dismiss, someone who didn't deserve respect. The customers gasped. Rachel, standing behind a shelf, squeezed the scarf in her hands, her heart pounding. Tom continued, his voice rising just enough for everyone to hear. Do you always treat women like that? Or just the ones who raised Super Bowl champions? Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came out. Tell me, Tom said, gesturing to the room, is this how you represent your brand? By judging people based on how they look, their age, whether you think they can afford what's in here? Rachel couldn't stay silent anymore. She stepped out from behind the shelf, her voice trembling but steady. "He's right. I saw everything. Mrs. Brady was treated horribly. I tried to help her, but—" Ethan whipped his head toward her. "Rachel!" "No," Tom interrupted sharply, raising a hand. "Let her speak." Rachel took a deep breath. She came in here kind, polite, asked a simple question. And Ethan, she glanced at him, talked to her like she was beneath him, like she didn't belong. Gasps filled the room. Customers began shaking their heads, some visibly angry, others already uploading clips to their social media. Tom turned back to Ethan. "Let me be crystal clear. My mom didn't ask me to come here. She didn't want to cause trouble. But I'm not here just for her." His eyes scanned the room. "I'm here for every person who's walked into a place like this and was made to feel small, invisible, unwelcome." The silence was suffocating. Ethan looked like he wanted to crawl under the floor. Tom softened slightly, addressing the customers. "We're better than this. Boston's better than this. Respect isn't about who someone is on paper. It's about treating everyone like they matter." A woman near the handbags wiped a tear. Someone in the back whispered, "Preach." Tom took a breath, the intensity still burning behind his calm. "Now, I suggest you think very carefully about how you run this store, because whether it's my mother or anyone else, nobody deserves to be treated that way." Without waiting for a reply, Tom nodded respectfully to Rachel, turned, and walked out the door. The bell chimed softly behind him. Outside, a small crowd had gathered. Word was already spreading. Phones were up. Cameras were rolling. The legend of Tom Brady had just added another chapter, and this one had nothing to do with football. By the time Tom reached his car, the videos were already climbing toward viral status. The clips showed every second, the confrontation, Tom's powerful words, and Ethan's squirming under pressure. Uploaded to TikTok, Instagram, X, and Facebook, the story spread like wildfire. Headlines popped up within hours. Tom Brady stands up for his mother in epic confrontation at Boston boutique. Do you treat all women like this? Brady's response goes viral. Local news stations interrupted their regular programming. National outlets followed. One of the first to report was Lisa Grant, a well-known correspondent for WBN News, standing right outside Regal Threads by lunchtime. Behind me is the boutique, where NFL superstar Tom Brady confronted the store manager over the alleged mistreatment of his mother, Lisa reported, her voice crisp over the background hum of gathering crowds. Witnesses say Brady's speech wasn't just about his family, but a statement about how we treat one another. Inside the store, chaos erupted. Ethan sat in the office, pale, scrolling frantically through his phone. His inbox was flooded with angry comments. Yelp reviews plummeted from 5 stars to 2 within hours. One review read, "If you want to be judged for existing, shop here. Otherwise, stay away." The corporate office wasn't far behind. An urgent email hit every employee's inbox titled, "Crisis Response, Immediate Action Required." The regional manager arrived by early afternoon. Meanwhile, Rachel stood near the counter, unsure of what would happen next. She'd never intended to be part of something like this. She was just doing the right thing. A sharp voice echoed from the back. "Ethan, office." "Now." Minutes later, Ethan walked out, face red, tie loosened. His eyes didn't meet anyone's. Customers parted silently as he headed for the exit, escorted by the regional manager. His suspension was immediate pending review. The store felt lighter. Then Rachel heard her name. "Rachel, could we see you for a moment?" Her stomach flipped. Had she done something wrong? Was she next? Inside the office, the regional manager didn't waste time. "You stood up when it mattered. Not just to help a customer, but to do the right thing. We've reviewed everything. Effective immediately. You're being promoted to assistant manager." Her jaw dropped. "Wait, what?" "You represent the kind of service this store should be known for." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Thank you. I just did what anyone should have done. Outside, the crowds grew. Some weren't even customers. They were just Bostonians showing up in support, holding signs like "Respect our elders" and "Be like Brady." The internet's reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Celebrities retweeted the video. Fans poured in comments like, "Brady winning championships on and off the field. This is why he's the GOAT. More people need to call out disrespect like this." Even Tom's NFL rivals chimed in with praise. At home, Galynn watched it unfold on TV. Her hands covered her mouth in disbelief. She never wanted the attention, but her heart swelled with pride, not just for her son's fame, but for the man he had become. Her phone rang. It was Tom. "Mom," he said, voice softer now. "I didn't mean to turn this into a circus, but I couldn't just let it slide." Galynn chuckled, wiping a tear. "Tommy, this wasn't just about me. This was bigger than both of us." Tom smiled on the other end. "Yeah, I guess sometimes the right thing gets a little loud." A few days later, Tom Brady stood at the podium for his scheduled post-game press conference. Reporters were expecting the usual breakdown of plays, stats, and maybe a few light-hearted questions about retirement rumors. Instead, Tom leaned into the microphone, his expression thoughtful. "Before we start talking football," he began, "I want to address something that happened this week, something more important than any touchdown." The room went silent. You've probably seen the videos. You've probably read the headlines. But this wasn't about going viral. This was about respect. My mother was treated in a way no one should ever be treated. Ever. And while I stood up because it was personal, it made me think, how often does this happen when no one's watching? He paused, scanning the crowd. We talk about being champions on the field, but real character is shown in how we treat people when there's nothing to gain. Whether it's the person bagging your groceries, a customer walking into your store, or someone you think doesn't belong, everyone deserves respect. The reporters, usually quick to fire off questions, sat quietly, absorbing every word. Tom continued, "I'm grateful for the support. I'm proud of the conversations this has started. And if there's one thing I hope people take from this, it's that doing the right thing isn't about being famous. It's about being decent." The press conference ended not with the usual roar of football banter, but with a standing ovation, something rare, almost unheard of in that setting. Meanwhile, back in Boston, something unexpected happened. Ethan Miller, the disgraced store manager, requested a private meeting with Tom. At first, Tom hesitated. He wasn't sure if it was a PR stunt or something genuine, but eventually he agreed. In a quiet coffee shop, away from cameras and crowds, Ethan arrived looking different. No designer suit, no smug grin, just a simple jacket and tired eyes. "I came to say, I'm sorry," Ethan began, voice low. I thought I was better than other people, that my job gave me the right to judge, but after what happened, after seeing the reaction, I realized I've spent years treating people like they were beneath me." Tom studied him quietly, waiting. "I hurt your mom, and probably a lot of other people who didn't have someone like you to speak up for them. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say it." Tom nodded slowly. "Change doesn't start with an apology. It starts with what you do next." Ethan swallowed. "I know. I've started volunteering at a senior center. Figured, it's about time I learned what respect really looks like." For the first time in days, Tom smiled. "Good. Make it count." That evening, Tom, Galynn, and Jack gathered around the dinner table. The conversation wasn't about football, viral videos, or even the media storm. It was about family, about how standing up for one person can send a message to thousands. Jack looked up. "Dad, Grandma, I'm proud of both of you." Galynn squeezed his hand, her eyes soft. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Tom leaned back, looking at them both. "You know, sometimes the biggest wins don't come with a trophy. If this story inspired you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now. It helps the channel grow and brings more powerful stories like this straight to you. And if you want to hear about another unbelievable story, that'll restore your faith in humanity. Click the video that's on your screen right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.